And, it really doesn't matter the experience and the talent that you have. If you forget to rely on the people who are around you, because you're only good, you're only as good as the people who you work with.
Yeah.
And believe that, wholeheartedly. And I believe in my own ability to get the job done, but I also understand that if I can harness everybody and, harness their unique talents, then we can take this thing straight to the top.
Hey guys, welcome to the Game Changers Lead podcast, where we're cultivating culture and shaping the future of sports with our conversations. And I'm so excited for this episode, to have a good friend of mine. I've known this guy for over 20 years. We were roommates in college together, and I can remember the days whenever we were up till 2 and 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, dreaming about what the future would look like, talking about the impact that we wanted to make on the world that we live in. And that guest happens to be Brent Frazier, the principal at Umatilla High School down in Florida. He is the two-time Florida Principal of the Year. In 2023, he was recognized by the Florida Department of Education as the Principal of the Year there in Florida. And then in 2024, he was recognized by the NASSP as the Florida Principal of the Year. So 2 years running, has done a phenomenal job of reshaping the culture at Umatilla High School, where he's the principal. And so we're going to hear a little bit about his journey tonight and how, as a school administrator, he leads in such a way to impact culture and how he supports his athletic program and the impact that the athletic program in return has on the school. And so I'm excited and delighted to introduce my good friend Brent Frazier to us tonight. Brent, it's good to have you on. Yeah, man.
Good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, listen, man. I've obviously just out of relationship, I've been able to watch your career through the years. Started out as teaching. I got my start in education in the same town in Leesburg, Florida, whenever Brent was working in the middle school there, and got my start into coaching at Leesburg High School, and in their varsity basketball program, so being able to watch your career, I've really, obviously just out of relationship, been able to see the journey myself. But why don't you tell us a little bit about like your journey into the role that you're in now, and really just what shaped your leadership philosophy out of that journey, because we're all a product of our experiences. Talk to us a little bit about that as we get started tonight.
Well, I think you never know where you're going to be when you grow up until you actually grow up. That's kind of the process. So I started out at the University of South Carolina. I was a chemical engineering major, and so I had calculus 5 days a week. And that was the end of that ball game for chemical engineering for me. Honestly, I think I failed every single test, and the bell curve got me to a C. And I said, thank you so much, University of South Carolina, and straight to Emmanuel College. But, I just remember walking up and down the driveway and just, praying, saying, I want to be in a field where I make a difference.
Yeah.
I'm not in it for money. I'm not in it. I want to make a difference in somebody's life. I want my life to mean something. And so I think that's the prayer of, every young person walking around. I've got a kid who's a senior right now, and I see some of the same types of, things inside of him. Or, he's a freshman, or, he just graduated as a senior. But, you see some of that same stuff inside of him where you're just wrestling with that, trying to find your purpose, trying to find your passion, trying to put yourself in a great spot. And so through default, I chose education, and I was thinking, what, I'll be a basketball coach. That sounds like a great job. I can work with young people. I've done a lot of rec coaching, and I played a little bit. And I just thought that, man, that just sounds like a great thing that I can do. I can make a difference. I could potentially maybe get to college, but certainly maybe coach in high school. And so I completed my education degree, and then we went down to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. You and I were together there.
Yeah.
And, I got married to my beautiful wife, Kim. And, that was a neat journey. We went down there to try to impact young people.
Yeah.
And, I look back on that time, and that certainly has shaped a lot of where I'm at and, who I'm at today. And, stayed in South Carolina for 3 years, had that South Carolina teacher's loan, needed to get that bad boy paid off.
Yeah.
And so thought it was paid off. I coached the little school basketball there. And then I moved to Florida. My parents had moved to Florida. Actually right when I went to college, and, we were going to start a family. And so you want to be near family if you're going to start a family. So that was, how I got to Florida. Well, so this is year 25 for me. So you just blink and it goes by, and you look in the mirror and you see the gray hair, and yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And you see the wrinkles. But man, it's been a ride. I taught for 10 years. I taught middle school. I was the dean in an elementary school. I was an assistant principal at about a 3,000 person high school down here for 6 years.
At East Ridge?
I was at East Ridge High School. And then I was a middle school principal. That was my first principalship, was 7 years ago. And so I was there for 3 years. And then I was appointed the high school principal. And that's really, you talk about the different things in your life, and it's hard to sit back and, wonder if you're ever going to reach what your potential is.
Yeah.
And I think as a part of this journey, I just, walking through that journey and just experiencing the different pieces of it, I think God's timing was perfect.
Yeah.
It wasn't my timing. If I'd had my way, I was like, man, I should have been this a whole long waiting for this. But it didn't work that way out. But each phase along the way, I was mentored by some great people who taught me a lot of things.
Yeah.
But when I got to the high school, they were actually a D. Florida has a school grade system, so they were a D. They were the lowest performing out of all of the Lake County high schools. We have 8 traditional high schools here. And we were coming right out of COVID. And so a lot of that had to do with COVID. But certainly, the kids were not performing. The staff was not performing. It was a mess. Yeah. And so, when you take over something like that, really what you have to start with is culture. Culture is key.
Yeah.
Like, you have to establish a belief that anything is possible. But before you can establish that belief, like, you got to come in strong with what you believe, but you got to kill those, because there's this constant negative bias that just, pull on you.
Right.
And so you had to kill that. You had to kill those expectations. So I remember, putting all the school data on there, academically on there on the first day, opening up. When a principal opens up on the first day of school, that's like their Super Bowl, boy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Easter Sunday. If you're a pastor, you bring in your big guns, into that, because everybody's excited, and there's some change that's in, change that's in play. And so our theme, and I don't believe in changing themes. So, I believe in, okay, well, what's our mantra? What are we going to be?
Yeah.
What's our, and so at Umatilla High School, it was dream it, believe it, and achieve. Yeah. And so we branded the whole school that way in the summertime. I mean, banner, paintings, everything up. Everything we put out to basically say, hey, this is going to be something new. Get ready. We're going to flip this stuff. Not quite sure how yet, but we're definitely going to flip it. And I'll start with the belief that we're doing things correctly. So that was the first step. And, but we, took all of those grades. We took those school grades and put it there. And I said, take a look at that. And I said, I want you to hold that up in there and rip that into, bottle it up, and throw it in the trash can.
Yeah, I love it.
That's an excuse. And I said, let me tell you what we're getting ready to be. We're getting ready to be the top school in Lake County. So buckle up, hang on tight, baby, because we're getting ready to go. You'll go with me. It's going to cost us something. We're going to bust our behind to be able to get there. But, we're going to be successful. And so you start with that culture piece there, and there are a lot of other things that you put into play. But having been at all 3 levels, so this is year 5 for me, and then I spent 6 as an assistant principal. So I've spent about half my career in high school.
Yeah.
And what I learned from East Ridge that I was able to apply when I was named the principal of Umatilla is that at the other schools, it's probably 80 to 90% academics. There's not a lot of extracurriculars that happen. I mean, there's some band in middle school and some intramural sports that happen in middle school. But once you reach high school, like, the whole view of how you're judged by the community, what happens inside of there, it's so much about athletics and so much about academics and so much about band and extracurricular and ag and drama, theater, and all the different things that you have there. So that all comes together, and that's the perception of what a school is. And I just remember being at East Ridge, and we were high performing when we were at East Ridge, but our football team was terrible. And I mean, I think probably, 2 years we were like 0-10. Now
Yeah.
we were running, so I got to go home early. That was the only piece of it that was, but I hate losing.
Yeah, I know
But
it.
in, but if you look at the newspapers, they didn't care that we were, high performing academically. 90% of what was being put out was really around athletic programs. And so that really set my mindset that one, I got to hire the right people. I got to have I've got to have the right coaches around my young men, and my young women, who are, people who can take it in the right direction. I understood and I was blessed to have a guy that was amazing, Pat Todd, who's now the district
Yeah.
athletic.
Yeah, Pat did a phenomenal job.
He did. He was our athletic director, and he helped us make a transition. He helped us hire. He helped kind of refine my eye, and it really doesn't matter the experience and the talent that you have. If you forget to rely on the people who are around you, because you're only good. I mean, you are only as good as the people who you work with,
Yeah.
and believe that wholeheartedly. And I believe in my own ability to get the job done. But I also understand that if I can harness everybody and, harness their unique talents, then we can take this thing straight to the top.
Yeah.
And so, been like a rocket ship. We took over and we won, right away. We were competitive in a lot of sports. We won right away. The basketball teams with
Yeah.
multiple state playoffs. Football was a rebuilding process.
Yeah.
I had to make some changes. I had to make some changes in the football team, and I had to hire a football coach, who was actually an alumni. He went to Vanderbilt and played football. His name's Eric Samuels.
Yeah, he's done a phenomenal job.
Man, we have built that right, and so, but our big process through this whole thing was that it can't necessarily be about wins or losses, and so our thing for our athletic program and our athletic association that we have that raises annually over about $115,000 a year. And we're a pretty small school, a small community.
Yeah.
We're really about building champions of character. So that's what we sculpt. And you can't just give it lip service. You actually have to back it up. And that's probably the difficult piece of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, how do you back that up? Yeah, we want to be champions of character. Yes, we're going to represent our school with pride. Yes, but that comes down to the choices that are being made.
Yeah.
And I remember having long conversations with Pat and, some of my coaches, just saying, we've got to impact our athletes in a different way.
Yeah.
Yes, we want to work on the field. Yes, we want to develop their skills that are there. But if we're not teaching them how to be, men and women when they walk out of here.
That's right.
We felt on our partner. We felt that program. Coach. And so I just think that how can you move forward?
Yeah. Yeah, you said that was a mouthful. There was so much meat on the bones there. Okay, so like starting off with, you started out with a compelling vision. I can remember being down there with you, walking the halls of the school right after a lot of that rebranding and all of that work was done, and hearing you talk about your vision and what you plan to do, and you started with that, a compelling vision, and part of sometimes what a compelling vision is, you are kind of figuring it out along the way, right? Like, so when you're building culture, there's so many different variables that go into play that. And you don't always know which buttons that you need to push right away and that kind of thing. So part of it is kind of, sometimes it's kind of like faking it till you make it, right? Like it's in your heart to do, and that's the purpose and that's the call that you got in front of you. But it's like, how do we do that? Well, you got to start off by just inspiring people. You got to know your why, you got to know your purpose, and you got to compel people with that vision. And then as you do that, what you find is that whenever you compel people with a vision, you get quality people that get on board with you. And so then you started talking about your team, that you hired there, and you've got incredible teachers, some of the best teachers in Florida, no doubt about it. And so you took that school from a D rating to a high B rating this past year, and I know that even as a principal, that's probably frustrating because the goalposts move from year to year sometimes, and it's like so you're targeting specific areas, and and it's the same way in athletics, right? Your teams change from year to year. Your opponents change from year to year, and so whenever you're building that and you're building that culture. There's so many different things that go into that, right? And so you hired a great guy, and Pat taught him, and he did a phenomenal job. And then Eric, I mean, I've been really impressed with this guy and what he's done. The biggest thing is he came in and did what you did in the beginning of the school. He got them to buy in and believe that they could do something. Well, listen, I really appreciate you taking the time with us tonight. I know our time's coming to an end here, but man, I would just say this, guys, if you're looking for somebody, if you're in administration and you're looking for somebody to that you want to talk to, I would tell you to give this guy a call because Brent has done some amazing things. I mean, just transforming the culture there, transforming the performance of the students, both athletically, academically, and other extracurriculars. I mean, the number of students that are earning scholarships and coming out of the school, it's an incredible testimony of your hard work and the work of your staff and your team. And man, I just appreciate you sharing this with us tonight because I think that there's sometimes there can be a disconnect, right, between school administrators, athletics, all of that. I've been in schools where there wasn't that alignment. And one of the things that you've done just an amazing job at is building alignment in your school around the purpose and the values that you have, that you've set for the direction of that school. And it's making a real impact in that community, not just within the hallways of your school, but really the town of Umatilla, and making waves throughout Lake County and throughout the state of Florida, man. You've done a remarkable job. I'm proud of you as a friend, man, and I can't wait to see what continues to be built there because I know you still got a lot left in you, and there's a lot more to come. And so, I want to encourage you guys, to listen to the words of this podcast, these words of wisdom that he shared with us tonight. And man, I just appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on with me. I love you, buddy, and I'll talk to you again real soon, okay? So, guys, I know that you were able to hear some of that where Brent was talking about the compelling vision that he started with. He talked about the alignment of the culture within his program, within his school. I want to just encourage you, like if you're a coach, if you're an athletic director, if you're a school administrator, there's nothing more important than giving your team of coaches, team of student athletes, team of teachers, a compelling vision that people can buy into, okay? A set of values and standards that people can look up to and that really pull on the character of what God has designed us with. I want to encourage you. Listen, I've seen way too many athletic directors that they run everything like in isolation. They run everything like where everything's got to kind of run through them and flow through them. It's one of the biggest mistakes that we can make, right? We're only as good as our team. As a coach, we're only as good as a team that plays for us, our assistant coaches. As an athletic program, we're only as good as the coaching staff that we have and the players that play within that and the culture that we build into that. As a school, we're only as good as our team. And those are the things that you heard Mr. Frazier talk about on tonight's podcast. And so, listen, there's nothing more important. The strategies, the X's and O's, all of that. There's nothing more important than your culture and the team that you build your culture with. Okay? And so you heard him talk about his hiring practices. You heard him talk about that compelling vision. You heard him talk about those values. All of those are critical to building a sustaining culture that makes a difference in your community, makes a difference in the lives of the students that you're serving and the staff that you work with. So I want to encourage you, listen to those words with wisdom. Man, go back and listen to it again. Take a notebook, write it down, okay? Because there were some powerful, powerful words of wisdom shared out of his testimony of what he walked through as a school administrator, as a high school principal, to change the culture of a school, and I've been to that school multiple times, and I've been in that community, and I'm telling you, it is the biggest thing going in the community is the impact that school that he's had on that school, and the impact that school has had on the community in return. So I want to encourage you to listen to that testimony. Listen, we're going to be back with some compelling interviews, some awesome interviews here in the near future. We got a great lineup coming up with guys like Jeff Ray. Jeff played baseball at Oral Roberts University and has gone on to build several multi-million-dollar businesses, and he's a big culture guy. He understands the power of culture in the business world. He's going to talk about what he learned from his athletic career that's helped him to be able to accomplish that. We've got some other folks coming up out of the state of Florida. I've been working on getting one of my good coaching friends, Sir Darius Roundtree, to come on to the podcast with us. He took over Lake Mary High School basketball program and won back-to-back district champions with them. You're talking about a school that I think before he took over the program had about a 30% winning record in the previous 10 to 15 years or more. So just remarkable turnaround of that program. He played for me at Leesburg High School, and one of the first young men that I got to coach, been a part of his life for 25 years now. And so we got some other great guests that are going to be joining us. So I want you to subscribe, want you to share this content with as many people as we can, because we believe that the conversations that we're having right here can really make a difference in the world that we live in, and particularly in the area of sports, because there's nothing more important than making sure that we're coaching out of the right character, out of the right motives, with the right purpose, and pouring into the lives of the next generation. And this is where we have that conversation. So hit the subscribe button, share this with your friends, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next time.